All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and Iron Banner returns for its first week in the Witch Queen. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a God roll guide to every single God roll that you should be looking for when playing Iron Banner, turning in your tokens, turning in your bounties, getting those match completions, all of the God rolls for PvE and PvP for every weapon. Here we go. Starting from the top, and this is going to be in chronological order from the most interesting God rolls to the least interesting God rolls. First one is the RIISWALKER for PvP. This definitely gets some cool perks with we got Iron Reach, and before we were using Quick Draw, which is still a really good roll, but now you can also add on to this. You could get Steady Hands and Iron Reach, which Steady Hands, if you haven't used yet, is really crazy in terms of the handling bonus you get. Along with this, we'll go with Assault Mag because this pairs really well with this archetype, with this RPM of shotguns, and then we'll have Full Choke on this with a ranged Masterwork. This is a really good shotgun for PvP. This is super lethal, super strong. If you were to turn in your tokens and get something equivalent to this, I'm sure you would have a really good time in Crucible with that, tearing people up. Moving on to the next weapon, we're going to go to the Forge's Pledge, which actually gets some really cool rolls. I like the synergy of this weapon. Obviously, with all these new Iron Banner weapons, you get the Origin trait, Skulking Wolf. I don't think this is the best Origin trait. This might very well be the worst Origin trait because it only procs in Iron Banner, so that means that this doesn't have any application outside of Iron Banner in any other PvP game modes or PvE or even Gambit for that matter. So I think it's a bit frustrating, but it is cool. It's better than nothing, I guess. Adds a little more to your weapon. In terms of strong perks, though, Rampage, because it's a 390, which is one stack of Rampage, will allow this weapon to 2-burst. And this perk right here, Heating Up, is so strong. And the synergy between these two would be nice. The first kill might be a little bit tougher to get, but once you get that first kill, you're just going to keep, steamrolling people because Heating Up is crazy strong, and the fact that it would work perfectly with Rampage is what makes this weapon so nice. Now we're also going to pair with this Accurized Rounds, and I personally really like Arrowhead Break when I'm using full auto fire weapons or burst fire weapons. Especially, they're really good for that recoil direction, so I would go with Arrowhead Break. You could also just go with something like Hammer Forge, wouldn't be too bad. And I'm going to go with a ranged Masterwork as well for this Forge's Pledge. Moving on to the next one, we have a Forge's Pledge for PvE. There's actually a decent roll. Obviously, you've got champion mods for pulse rifles this season. Pulse rifles are not necessarily the best in PvE. They're not like the go-to in any sort of situation, but if you need to stun champions, this would be a pretty good one. And it also is going to have really good ad clear potential with One for All and Stats for All. Those two have obviously great synergy. They literally are named after each other, kind of. Stats for All, One for All. And then we'll go with an appended mag on this, and Hammer Forge rifling for that range, and a ranged Masterwork for the PvE god roll of the Forge's Pledge. Moving on to the next one, we got a Peace Bond for PvP. Now we're going to go with as much range as possible because sidearms have such low range. And this one, thankfully, has some really, a bunch of good range perks. We've got Iron Reach, we've got Rangefinder, Accurized Rounds, Hammer Forge Rifling, and a ranged Masterwork. We're just going all range on this Peace Bond, and that would make this a really good weapon in PvP. I think would be pretty viable for melting some people. And it'd be pretty crazy to see what your range potential would be like with a Peace Bond if you actually did get that crazy god roll. So best of luck to you out there grinding that. Next up, we have the OCCLUDED Finality, which actually has the nice bonus. It does have the Suros Synergy Origin trait, so not just the Skulking Wolf. So it's nice to have that alternative option there. And I would for sure pick that one over the Skulking Wolf one. We're going to go with the classic god roll of this with Opening Shot, Snapshot, Ricochet Rounds, Fluted Barrel, and a Handling Masterwork. This thing is so nasty. Bungie did just adjust the values of the high zoom and low zoom snipers a little bit, so it may not be quite as nasty as it was before, but still a really good roll of the sniper. And you could also go with Elemental Capacitor here, because if you're using an Arc subclass, the handling on this is going to be absolutely nuts. You have insane, such nice handling with this weapon. So that's going to be the OCCLUDED Finality for PvP. Now let's go on to the PvE OCCLUDED Finality. This does get Firing Line, which is really sick. This is always a really strong perk you want to be using. Whenever you're playing PvE, trying to melt bosses, champions, whatever it may be, you're always trying to use Firing Line. This is probably the best damage boosting perk right now in PvE, one that I see on so many weapons, and it's a real go-to. You could get Auto-Loading Holster to pair with this. Is this going to be like a meta sniper for PvE? Probably not, but the fact that it has Firing Line and Auto-Loading is pretty good. You would pair with this little Appended Mag, Fluted Barrel, and Handling Masterwork. It's not a half bad PvE sniper. Certainly not going to be go-to or meta in any way, though. Frontier's Cry. Now, this one is a bit... Now, all the last 4 of the weapons that are available in Iron Banner, I'm going to give a little asterisk to. And I'm going to say, you can farm for these weapons, and there are god rolls of these weapons. But is it really worth it? Probably not. Okay, if you do get any of these weapons, honestly probably just dismantle them and collect the legendary shards. But if you did want to get, I guess, the god roll or the best roll of the Frontier's Cry, which is not a very good weapon, we would have kill clip, rapid hit, accurate rounds, hammer forged rifling, and we'll go with a ranged masterwork. Now you might be, you might not like that opinion. I know it's a new hand cannon, and a lot of people are like, "What? Give it a chance, try it out." And I have tried it out, have given it a chance, and 180s are just not that good. Not good in PvE or PvP. It doesn't have explosive payload for PvE for it to be a really nasty PvE hand cannon. And in PvP, we know that the 140s are the meta, and these things just don't compete in the PvP realm. Even if you get a kill with it, like it mentioned in the TWAB, and as you've seen other YouTubers mention before, even if you get a kill with it and you get a lot more higher kill potential, getting that first kill is just really tough with these. So again, not the best weapon in my opinion. So moving on to the next one, we have the Finite Impactor, which got the real shaft. This used to have Eye of the Storm in its perk selection, but they removed that for some reason. I don't know what Bungie was thinking. They said that they weren't going to do this anymore, that they were going to keep the strong perks and only add better perks to the perk pools of the weapons when they reprise them. But unfortunately, Bungie be bungo sometimes, and they took out Eye of the Storm from this perk slot right here. And so now you're left with the best roll being a Killing Wind, Elemental Capacitor, Ricochet rounds, and it has sights on it as well, which is even more painful. So honestly, just dismantle the Finite Impactor if you get one. Just dismantle that bad boy. All right, moving on to the next one, we've got the Razor's Edge. Now again, you can get the Chain Reaction, the Unrelenting, the Swordmaster's Guard, the Enduring Blade. This is going to be the best roll for this sword for an ad clear sword. However, I can't really think of many circumstances where you're like, yeah, it's time to clear some ads. Let me whip out my sword. Like it's few and far between. I mean, you could find a few instances where you might do this in low-end PvE, but when it comes to high-end PvE, you're not really doing this. So, again, this is the best roll of the Razor's Edge, but overall, Razor's Edge is kind of a dismantle in my opinion. And the last one we'll go over is the Archon's Thunder, which I am not even going to show you a roll of this weapon. This weapon is abysmal and dismantle on contact, okay? It is a 360 RPM solar machine gun. I can't find any application for this in PvE and PvP. I hate to be a hater. I like to give some validity to every weapon and every different archetype, and I like to think in my mind that Bungie knows what they're doing. They're thinking this through and they're trying different things, but there's just nothing I can say good about this Archon's Thunder. Could give you the best roll of it, but even the best roll of it is just so bad. There's so many other better weapons to use in every scenario in PvE and PvP. I know this sounds terrible, but just dismantle the Archon's Thunder if you get it. Trust me. I mean, if you use it in PvP, of course, it's a power weapon. If other people run around shooting a hand cannon, you'll get kills with it, but there's so many other better weapons and better options in PvP and PvE than the Archon's Thunder. So this is just straight dismantle on contact. So that's a wrap on all of the Iron Banner weapons, all of the god rolls for PvE and PvP. Let me know your thoughts down below if you agree or disagree. I'm happy to have a conversation and change some of my ideas, but I spent a lot of time to do this. I talked with a variety of my friends. We came together and made this guide for y'all. So I hope you appreciate it. If you did, make sure you subscribe to this channel right here. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.